Okay, guys, here we go. We're doing our very first update of for Dark Age of. My name is Mike, also known as Tef, or the other DM. I guess I'll start out with some basics. We had about 6 players, one of the bigger games I've ever DM'd, with about a 15-year pause in between the last time I've DM'd. We had a level 1, of course, all of these characters started at level 1. A dwarf named Corvin, an elf named Fandel, a cleric named Deviac Chorster, an elf named Janella Darkspur, a level 1 fighter named Thraben, and a magic user named the Cardinal. Now, I let these guys just pretty much have free reign over what kind of characters they wanted to roll and what they wanted done. They just kind of went with what they felt like, so I was just going to roll with it. Again, I didn't have a whole lot planned. My biggest motive for the evening was just that everyone had fun, maybe myself getting back into the swing of DMing. This seemed pretty successful. We had a whole night of laughing and some of the worst dice rolls I've ever seen in my life. It was a given. There was, I think, the Fandel. Yeah, he was played by an 11-year-old. He'd never even touched the game before, so I was thrilled to see him really start to get a chance to play. So we started off in the stereotypical bar in the stereotypical castle city, biggest city in the kingdom. It was the capital. And one of the king's guards came in and offered, I think it was 50 gold to anybody who was interested in trying to help end this scourge of undead that had been lately occupying the city. And of course, in my campaign, undead isn't going to be a completely unheard of idea, but it had been picked up significantly in the recent days and weeks. So of course, being nice to me, I think they all decided to agree that they would go along with -1. The Cardinal didn't say anything. He didn't disagree, but he didn't agree with me. Now, I don't have a real feel for this player. I've played a couple sessions with him as a player, not as a DM, and he was playing a completely different kind of character. I'm used to him playing a chaotic thief. This time he's playing a lawful magic user. So I thought, okay, well, he's being quiet, but he's being polite maybe. We're in a large group, everyone's talking loud, who knows? We'll see what happens. So I kind of roll with it. And I think Thraben, our fighter, was particularly unlucky with his starting gold roll. So he needed some extra gear, so he asked the guard, and he said, hey, can I get half up front? Instantly, of course, everybody wants their half up front, and whatever, that's fine. Let him have it. I have a tendency of probably being a bit too nice to my characters. I could have killed a couple of people the other night, but I didn't do it. It's not fun to re-roll. It's fine. Of course, if someone's being ridiculous, I'll probably punish them for it. Enough of that. So, they all agreed, and finally went and did a little bit of shopping. I reminded them they didn't have a ton of time. They met back up, and there they were at the cemetery gates. And they meet up, and somebody, I can't remember who, asked if the guard was going to be coming with. And I stated, well, no, he's in his pajamas, he's ready to sleep. There's no way he's coming with tonight. It's not part of his job. So he tells them, yes, here's the graveyard, and points them in a direction, tells it seems to be concentrated towards that direction. And again, guys, it's been 15 years since I've DM'd a game. I shot from the hip. So they proceed, and they're following along rather nicely. It's something I've very rarely experienced in any of my sessions. A lot of people like to, go where they want to go. So I was lucky there. They continue on to find this crypt, and I mentioned to them, as you approach this crypt, you notice the air is getting colder. It's colder, it's trying to give some sort of ambiance. And if they'd continued on, and I don't know, if they'd investigated further, they probably would have found a lot more. I had some plans with what the temperature change could have influenced. But that's okay. We had a lot of new players, a lot of players that hadn't played in a long time. That was fine. So we continued on, and I think it was our dwarf noticed that the very entrance of the crypt had been recently manipulated. The door was slightly open, and I had a whole story as to how the entire encounter, the evening's encounter, had come to pass. As to, this entity ended up being the end fighter, the end boss, had stumbled upon this crypt looking for valuables, and stumbled through the wall, actually, unearthing some old ancient dwarven ruins that had locked away an ancient artifact that, had corrupted him and given him the ability to have some necromantic powers. And again, it wasn't a ton of investigation, but I will continue this update and recap after dinner.